So per fact check that RMIT Fact Club does, potentially they're making $800 per fact check. They can do up to 50 of them per month, earning a total of $40,000. So if you put that across a year, that's almost $500,000. Hi everyone, Rukshan here, and thanks for joining me for this investigative news story. The document I have here on my screen is the Meta Confidential Third-Party Fact Checker Agreement. This particular document pertains to an agreement between the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology and Facebook Ireland. So this is Meta. Now, in particular, this is related to RMIT Fact Lab, which is the organization within RMIT University that fact checks Facebook posts and so on. Now, the reason that I've been investigating Meta, Facebook, all these fact-checking companies in Australia is recently they got my curiosity up when I saw that Meta would be involved in our electoral process to an extent by working with electoral authorities and these third-party fact-checkers to figure out what is misinformation and disinformation around the Voice to Parliament referendum on their platforms. And to that end, Meta did make an announcement that they would be funding organizations like RMIT Fact Club with an undisclosed amount of money. I'll just read this article quickly. Meta will give an undisclosed amount of money to the Australian Associated Press and RMIT's Fact Lab and Agence France Presse to boost their fact-checking programs which identify false articles. Now, we had never really known about the commercial agreement between these Meta and these companies and how it was actually structured. In fact, RMIT is very vague on their website when they explain their partnership with Meta, and they don't really disclose in terms of, if it's a commercial agreement, what type of partnership it actually is. And I think from this document, we're going to see now exactly the relationship that Meta and RMIT Fact Lab and potentially all other fact checkers around the world have with Facebook, and the incentives and the quotas and almost a commission style system that they've set up to do these fact checks. Now, this is based on my opinion, based on reading this document. I will make some of these documents available for other people to assess on the basis of public interest. And I say public interest because these companies have very publicly now said that they want to be involved in our electoral process. So I think it's only fair that we scrutinize these type of relationships to ensure that everything is above board. And of course, we know RMIT University itself is heavily involved with our public broadcaster, ABC. I think it's incumbent upon them now to come forward and let us know about their commercial agreements with Facebook and if they have actually been profiting off these fact checks and how much money that they're making off doing these fact checks. Now, how I came about this document before I actually go into it is because I've been also covering the court case between RV Yemeni and the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, RMIT Fact Lab, as it relates to a defamation case about a story that was fact-checked. I was also fact-checked on that story, so I've been closely monitoring this, and this particular agreement was a part of the replies or the pleadings documents that I accessed through the court formally, and I came across this document and I thought, wow, this is quite interesting, because if you go to the payment section, subject to the company's compliance with the agreement, Meta will pay to company $800 per explanatory article for up to 50 explanatory articles per month for a maximum total monthly payment of $40,000. I'm just going to read that again. $800 per explanatory article, 50 explanatory articles per month for a maximum total payment of $40,000. So per fact check that RMIT Fact Club does, potentially they're making $800 per fact check. They can do up to 50 of them per month, earning a total of $40,000. So if you put that across a year, that's almost $500,000. Now, it's not clear whether this is in US currency or Australian dollars. Reading some more of this document, it appears that this is in US currency as well. So let's keep that in mind. But this is how the system is set up. It's a quota-based system. They're making $800 per fact check. We don't know if a fact check ends up being debunked, if they have to refund this money. But at least based on this language, it makes you wonder, what is this commercial agreement actually lead to? Like, does that actually lead to a fact-checking organization actually becoming independent as they claim? Or is it a more of a financial incentive for them to meet these quotas and to do a certain set number of fact checks per month to make this money, right? This is profit money driven. And the worst thing that I think of all of this is when I read RMIT's actual website about their relationship with Facebook, which they mention they have a partnership. They don't say whether it's commercial in nature. But if you go down this page and you read about, they got something about their independence, whatever. If you read about their actual funding, let me just make this a bit bigger, just to make it clear for those of you watching at home. RMIT Fact Lab is funded by RMIT University, philanthropic donations, and independent research grants. Our Corona Check newsletter is funded with donations from the International Fact Checking Network and the Judith Nelson Institute for Journalism and Ideas. RMIT ABC Fact Check is funded by RMIT University and the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Both RMIT Fact Lab and RMIT ABC Fact Check do not accept donations from political parties, advocacy groups, and lobby groups. Our researchers aim to put accurate information in the public domain to help people make informed choices. That's why our fact checks of public figures and debunks of misinformation are not closeted behind a paywall. Okay. Anywhere in that paragraph about funding, before they put a button saying donate now, where they're trying to solicit donations off the public, anywhere where they talk about funding, do they mention the fact that they are getting funding from these fact checkers? Sorry, from Meta? Do they mention that they have this commercial agreement where they're getting almost potentially could earn up to half $500,000 a year from doing these fact checks? There's no mention of this at all. They're acting like there's some independent organization. The partnership is not commercial with Meta as far as it's concerned on this particular website. And also the fact that you can donate to them as well to support them. So they're grifting almost off the public, pretending to run an independent organization, while at the same time, this is my opinion, this is what it appears like, while at the same time, they have this commercial agreement with Meta to make money from doing fact checks. Now, we know that Meta recently said that they would be giving more funding to these organizations. So maybe I've missed something, and it's always been clear that it's very commercial in nature, and that's fine. That's all above board, of course. But I don't think it's been made very clear, and I think it's very important that we now, the public, after seeing these documents, understand what is happening here and understand that RMIT University, RMIT Fact Lab, is running something which is essentially, if any other entity was doing this, would be said to have been for profit. Now, we should know, particularly from ABC, if they're involved with this, if our government broadcaster as such is involved in this, how much money have they made money off doing these fact checks, and how much money have they made? How much money is RMIT Fact Lab receiving from Meta to fact check misinformation and disinformation around our electoral process when it comes to the Voice to Parliament referendum? Because if you look at RMIT's website and the debunks that they've done, it's very heavily skewed towards the yes vote, right? And a lot of their fact checks, this organization that's getting this money from Meta that looks like extra funding, plus also per fact check that they're doing that Meta ends up using $800 up to $40,000 per month, up to $500,000 per year for doing these. It looks like a lot of that is primarily focused on the Voice to Parliament, and of course, over the last couple of years, focused on COVID. Now, the curious side of me wants to, question this and ask, do they do fact checks purely to meet quotas? Are they making sure that they're earning enough per month to keep their program viable? Is that why they go do some really dubious fact checks that many people have called out if they should even be fact checks? Like, some of the fact checks are really strange. When you read them, they don't even seem like they address a particular problem. Like, that's my opinion on it. But and many people might be able to post some examples of that. But now that we know this commercial agreement between RMIT University and Meta, mate, this is, I think, really should put it into perspective for people. And look, there's more to this in terms of how this works, the scope, the services, the ratings tools, the code of principles, their ratings, this is like a private, secret, hidden document that they didn't want anyone to see. Thanks to this particular defamation case, we've had access to these documents now, the press, and we're able to discuss this. But really, it makes me really concerned about the involvement of these companies. And look, I have very serious doubts about RMIT FactLab's intentions, Meta's intentions around this. I think there's many warning signs based on the way that they behave. They very much, in my opinion, are activist-style fact-checking organizations. Even though they tout their independence, it's very hard to see that they're being very clear here about their independence. If they were truly transparent, they might have made it known that they actually profit potentially off this commercial agreement in terms of getting money for the fact checks that they do. So I think it's incumbent upon these people here now, that these fact checkers who most likely know about this agreement and how they're making money, particularly this guy, the director, that they come forward and actually tell people how much money that they're making off these fact checks, off fact checking our electoral process, and really if it's all above board. Anyway, guys, I will be researching more and more into this, as well as into Avi Yemeni's defamation case with RMIT FactLab. I'll be sharing those videos as well. I'll put up what documents I can from what I've been able to view, because I'm sure public interest here is paramount, based purely on the insistence of these organizations to insert themselves into political debates and discussions in our country, particularly Meta, a foreign company. That is very concerning to me. So I will be making as much of this available as I can publicly. Thank you again. If you're enjoying my videos and my investigative journalism work, you can follow along at The Real Rukshan on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey, and Threads at The Real Rukshan, or also look my name up, Rukshan Fernando. Thank you very much, everyone, and see you all next time.